Tonight, new details in the death investigation of a man found in an area lake.
Disaster is at the doorstep and is coming in.
Plus, find out how Wisconsin is feeling the impact of Hurricane Florence.
We're told repeatedly by all the different doctors that she's a miracle.
A woman struck by lightning at a Wisconsin music festival is talking about her experience, and you won't believe what saved her life.
Plus, a local theater celebrates a historical change, and you're invited to a special event this weekend.
Live from the Breaking News and Weather Authority, this is WEAU 13 News at 5.
Tonight, we're learning more about the elderly men.
Tonight, the East Coast is bracing for the arrival of Hurricane Florence.
And more than 1 million people have been evacuated from those coastal areas, but there's about 10 million people that live in those areas that are currently under hurricane watches and warnings.
And this is a live look now at Morehead City, North Carolina. Officials say power outages are already creeping up as more than 12,000 outages have been reported statewide. The Category 2 storm could bring more than 20 inches of rain in some areas.
And Skywarn 13 meteorologist Drew Williams is tracking the hurricane right here in our weather center. Drew, what can you tell us?
Well, basically, it has been downgraded, but still, those winds are around 100 miles per hour. And of course, not only could there be some devastating winds, but there could also be torrential rains that could make flooding even a bigger issue potentially than those winds coming in. But yeah, like you can see right here, we still have this Category 2 hurricane making its way closer inland right now, likely going to make landfall on Friday. Once it does make landfall, usually these systems do start to downgrade a little bit in their intensity, but still staying a hurricane even as it goes inland. And then as we head into the weekend, we should start to see those conditions improve a bit as far as wind goes, but also you could have a situation like we had with Hurricane Harvey where there could be some potential flooding and damaging in many areas there as far as a flood goes. Here's a look at forecasted rainfalls. Now notice the ticker up in the top there. This goes all the way until next Tuesday. Some areas in the Carolinas potentially picking up over 2 feet of rain, and of course winds could be the first impact with that storm surge that we see from this hurricane, but also in the coming days some very heavy flooding could end up being deadly. We'll have to kind of watch this scenario as it plays out over the next few days.
Now we turn to a feel-good story about an unlikely family reunion.
A local man discovers the identity of his biological parents, leaving him with quite a surprise. WEAU's Taj Mahal is here to explain all of this to us.
Yes, that's right, Danielle, Judy. Well, the level of irony in this story is wild. Nathan Boos was adopted at birth and never knew who his biological parents were. Well, recently he discovered their identity, and to his surprise, he's actually known his father for years. Take a look.
Growing up, I always knew that I was adopted. It just never crossed my mind that I'd ever find my parents.
Nathan Boos says he's gone through his entire life never knowing who his biological parents were.
I was adopted right at birth, right out of Marshfield, is where I was born.
Nathan's adoptive parents knew who his biological parents were, but because Nathan never asked, they never told him. Until one day.
And my mom just happened to come by one day and said, well, you're friends with your dad on Facebook.
After continuing this conversation with his adoptive mother, Nathan discovered his biological father is a truck driver, just like him. And that's when Nathan got curious.
She just went on my Facebook and went through my friends list and brought up his picture. And I said, get out of here.
Turns out, Nathan's biological father has been working at Rock Solid Transport in Chippewa Falls with Nathan for the past 2 years.
And I fell out of my seat.
He messaged me on Facebook one day and asked me if I knew his biological mother. And I'm like, yeah, that's my ex-wife. I about fell out of my seat. I'm like, oh my God.
Bob, who has 2 other children with his ex-wife, says the choice to give Nathan up for adoption was a difficult one, caused by financial stress.
Back then, I wasn't much of a dad. His biological mom had chosen the adopted parents. And like he said, because they were somewhat related. Distant cousins, I believe. But I didn't know that.
Both say they're excited to continue growing the friendship they already had.
Well, it's still kind of a shock. And there's days I'm not sure exactly what to say or how to act. I mean, he is my son, but yet we didn't have that father-son relationship growing up, and then we became working partners before we knew who we really were.
You know, we're just taking one day at a time, 1 mile at a time, as we say.
And both Nate and Bob tell me that this reunion has brought them both a sense of peace. And they plan to continue building their friendship. Nate is actually scheduled to get married soon, and he's excited to see Bob there on his special day. Bob actually joked with me and said now he gets a better seat to the wedding.
Hopefully he'll be up there front and center as well.
Yeah, it's so great that they, you know, they had that connection before.
It's such a good story.
It really is.
And just uncanny, all of the similarities, just seeing them together and working at the same place. Like, who would have thought?
They definitely have the same sense of humor, I can tell you.
Thank you so much, Tajma.